What's up, ladies and gents? Social Nurse here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate your time. I saw a video on Reuters YouTube channel, and it was of the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking about the G20 that's supposed to happen in 2026. And, he pretty much let it be known that South Africa is a founding member of the group and that his nation will continue to participate, right? Now, we know that President Donald Trump has uninvited South Africa to the G20 that will take place in America, in Miami, Florida, 2026, right? We know this. There's a lot leading up to this. I've done videos about it. There's all kinds of videos out there concerning the accusations of the Boers and the white people in South Africa being sent to fatality, specifically targeted according to the accusations. This was talked about when Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, and the co-government, the DA party, and people from South Africa came into the United States Capitol to have a conversation with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the president, brought it up right there in front of the media, these accusations, right? We know that the president boycotted the G20 summit. He doesn't like Africa. I don't think he's stepped foot in the place as a president ever. He does not like, in my opinion, the whole continent, right? We know what he refers to it as. No respect for the continent at all. So I wasn't surprised that he did not attend the G20. But I think that South Africa Representative Cyril Ramaphosa definitely would come to the G20 in 2026 if allowed. He does have the backing of the EU, the European Union. I think that there's going to be some obstacles if we understand our country, the United States, well enough, and if we understand how the Trump administration and his advisors strategize. A lot of things that's happening within the country has to do with squeezing systems, pausing them, halting them, interrupting them, even if things go to court, back and forth to get a result that is favorable to the Trump administration, right? And the same thing's going to happen. I believe, this is just my opinion, with this G2026. The Trump administration, the president is going to ensure that any South African visa be paused, halted, all kinds of things, maybe even revoke visas. I don't know. But if the president continues to not want South Africa to participate in the G20 when it happens in the United States, that's what's going to happen. Unless he has some change of mind. Now, I'm sure South Africans will be like, oh, we don't care. We don't need the United States. That's fine. That's fine. Because you do have the EU. But if I understand the West, there's some countries in the EU, be it the United States is there present or not somewhere in the background, that the United States can still partner with, even if it's behind the scenes, to get what the United States wants, right? Even if the president cancels the G20 in 2026 completely, let's just say he gets mad at everybody or unhappy with the EU and say, oh, just forget it. I'll cancel everything. I believe that, let's say, for example, France would be still a country that, although it may not look like it on the surface, I don't know, would still be partnering with in some way. And maybe some of those other countries, right? Because we never really know what's going on behind the scenes. So we'll have to continue to watch, and we'll see next year what happens with this. But, in President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech, he let it be known that he's very interested in just, continuing a relationship with the United States and not letting it just be flushed down the toilet, the relationship with the United States, right? He calls what's going on a misunderstanding. Cyril Ramaphosa is always kind of calm, even tone. I had to do some research on him. He's married to a doctor, well educated, a businessman. He speaks several languages. I know that the people in his nation aren't really as happy with him as maybe they would like to be. But we will have to see what happens, because I think that as an outsider looking in, the Ubuntu method is the only thing they can do at this moment, the South African government. The invite saying that everyone should be, will kind of benefit from South Africa, including South Africa. He wants it to be like an even business exchange in respect to South Africa. That would be nice, right? If they could be rewarded and paid for their resources fairly, right? But I don't know. There's still a country in need. There's some interesting stuff going on. So we'll have to watch what President Donald Trump does concerning the upcoming G20. Although people believe Africa is winning, I don't see it. I don't see Africa as winning right now. I do see that they have a lot of resources that they really don't have the power over. And I don't think that they alone can keep it to themselves. It's going to take help from their other allies. For example, South Africa is friends with China and Russia, right? Other African nations are friends with China and Russia. They're kind of moving away from the West, which would be the United States and Europe, right? Nothing comes for free. If the West isn't ruling that those natural resources, it's going to be China or Russia, right? And the United States may as well start negotiating with China or Russia concerning those resources in Africa. Perhaps. I don't know. I think that if South Africa and the other African nations aren't going to be in line with the United States agenda, right? I mean, why would a nation continue to use soft power in the way that the United States uses it if the country that they're dealing with isn't going to be in line with it? So I do think a separation is occurring. I hope that these bigger nations, meaning the United States, Russia, and China, don't get to go into blows over there on the African continent, because that's where it's going to occur. I believe if these three nations go to blows, if you know what I mean, it's going to happen there on the African continent. I don't think it'll be mainland the United States, mainland China, mainland Russia. If these three go at it, nobody wants to see it, because the firepower is more than the earth can handle. We'll see what happens. And I could be wrong about Africa, the continent, and the different countries being able to be in charge of their own resources. I could be wrong. The world does need peace. Thanks for stopping by, Social Nurse.